Hey, great news, everybody! I have my first official real sponsor ever, Raid Shadow Legends.
You know what? I have a sneaking suspicion that people don't really like Raid Shadow Legends. Well, I might as well talk about some trash, since I'm in the trash.
Kill everyone now. Condone first-degree murder. Advocate cannibalism. Eat shit.
Before anybody panics and accuses me of selling out, don't worry, Raid Shadow Legends isn't really sponsoring this video. I'm trying to keep my dignity intact. Welcome to another episode of Trash Reviews, where I take a look at the trashier side of cinema. Today we're looking at an interesting movie released by Troma Films, and many people would consider it Troma's dark secret, and that would be Bloodsucking Freaks.
Call that a trick? Not a trick. Drama.
If you're a fan of horror and grindhouse cinema, then you know about Troma Entertainment. Troma was founded in the early 1970s by Lloyd Kaufman and Michael Herz. They specialize in making and distributing movies independently. It's all about producing your own films, making your own films. Many big names in Hollywood got their start in Troma films. That includes people like James Gunn. Troma has an affinity for the sleazier side of film. They've made many movies that are in bad taste, incredibly raunchy, and they are a lot of fun. I think we need filmmakers that indulge in the sleazier side of life. Because, let's face it, what's life without a little sleaze? Their most notorious film would be The Toxic Avenger, which we will eventually cover in this series, but Bloodsucking Freaks is probably their most controversial film, and that's saying a lot when it comes to Troma.
Her mouth will make an interesting urinal.
We follow Sardu, master of the theater of the macabre. He runs this very off-Broadway show, which he disguises as a gruesome and violent magic act. But what audiences believe is just a bloody illusion is Sardu actually murdering and torturing people on stage. Not only that, but in his downtime he enslaves beautiful women, tortures beautiful women, runs a white slavery ring, and has a prison filled with naked cannibalistic women in his basement. Just like in my last video, there is a lot of stuff in this movie that I cannot show on YouTube. Scenes of torture, a ton of nudity, and as we know, YouTube does not approve of this kind of subject matter. Unless they're the ones getting paid for it.
How much we play for, Master?
Well, let's start off with a finger in the pot.
What we have here is an S&M-based horror movie. You could put it in the softcore pornographic section, because there is no hardcore penetration. Bloodsucking Freaks got Troma Films into quite a bit of trouble. When they were releasing the film, the MPAA told Lloyd Kaufman and the director Joel M. Reed that they had to cut the movie down so it could get an R rating. Now, they did cut the movie down, and they did get their R rating, but what they released was the uncut film.
If I were to review your so-called show, even badly, I fear some of my readers might come just out of curiosity.
I'm gonna admit I'm not a huge fan of this movie, but I do have to give props to Lloyd Kaufman and Joel M. Reed for sneaking in the X-rated version. People will say that this movie is misogynistic and sexist. I do agree with that, but I think that's kind of the point. This is a horror movie about misogyny. I'm not going to pretend that Joel M. Reed and Lloyd Kaufman were trying to be deep or make a movie with any kind of message. They were just trying to make a shocking movie, which they succeeded. This movie is very shocking. But I think we can agree that misogyny is a horrifying thing. So therefore, it's perfect subject matter for a horror movie.
Oh, oh, oh.
Don't you dare ruin my dinner!
Now, I can hear you asking, why am I not a fan of Bloodsucking Freaks when I like John Waters movies and I defend movies like I Spit on Your Grave? Well, for me, and I'm sure it's just me who has an issue with this, but I think Bloodsucking Freaks is kind of lost in its tone. For me, it feels like the movie can't decide whether it wants to be a really disturbing, fucked up movie or a campy, over-the-top offensive movie.
She's a fantastic actress. I'd like to meet her.
Oh, well, perhaps some other time. She's got a terrible headache.
Oh, I can imagine.
In a movie like this, I think you can only go one way or the other. Go all out campy and over the top like a John Waters movie, or go down the disturbing gut punch route like I Spit on Your Grave. But all in all, I think the movie succeeds in what it's trying to do. Make people feel uncomfortable. And I think you can guess I know a thing or two about being uncomfortable. This is an S&M-based horror movie, but I don't think it was made to turn people on. I'm not going to deny that there are some people out there who are aroused by this movie, and honestly, I don't care what two consenting adults do in the bedroom, but I don't think the purpose of this movie was to titillate the audience. It was made, again, to make you feel uncomfortable, and that's mainly because of the death and the all-out disturbing scenes.
That's it.
But again, it has that weird mix of campy and disturbing. There are scenes where Sardou uses women as pieces of furniture. There are torture scenes. There's a scene where Sardou and his henchmen paint a bullseye on a woman's ass and then play a game of darts. There's a scene where they play a game of backgammon and they chop off women's fingers as currency. There's really not much more I can say about this movie. It's a Troma film. And if you know about Troma, you kinda know what you're getting into. But this is one of Troma's most extreme movies, as well as one of their earliest. True, I'm not really a fan of this movie, but if you're curious, it's worth checking out, especially if you're interested in extreme cinema, disturbing movies, underground cinema, and Troma in general, because this was one of the first movies they distributed. Thank you all for joining me in another episode of Trash Reviews. I hope you're all enjoying this weird series, and I do hope to cover more trashy movies. I do have a few films lined up, but if you have any recommendations, please leave them in the comments down below. The only criteria is they have to be very low budget, and they have to be on the sleazier side of things. I hope you're all having a good day, or at least a better day than I am right now, and while I'm in here, I might as well take the opportunity to try and find a better sponsor. Hey, there's pumpkin spice tampons in here.